Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the latest installment of Split Second, the show where we talk about watches and I add some memes to hide my incompetence. My name is Julio, and I love me some watches. Let's just go ahead and dive right into it. Now, before we continue, let's do a quick wrist check. Today I am wearing my G-Shock DW5600. This doesn't get as much wrist time as it used to since I've been in lockdown, given that I'm not really going to the gym anymore. Yeah, because of the lockdown.
The lie detector test determined that was a lie.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Let me know if you'd like me to do a video on it, alright? Now, Invicta is a polarizing brand to say the least. They have some pretty harsh critics, and they also have some pretty ardent defenders. The truth is really somewhere in the middle. In a recent video, I covered what many consider to be the only Invicta worth having, and I went over some of the reasons why folks hate on them. But what if I told you that there's a brand out there, a micro brand actually, that engages in some of the same practices as Invicta, but doesn't get nearly the same amount of hate? I'm talking about Aragon Watches, and in today's video, I'll be providing you with a quick review of their Dive Master 42, what I like, what I wish were different, and any QC issues I may have found. I'll also be providing a quick overview of the company for those not familiar with it, and I'll try to answer the question, what makes Aragon better than Invicta? You know you're dying to know, so stick around to find out. This is the Aragon Dive Master 42. It showed up in the mail at the beginning of the year, and it's been in regular rotation in my collection ever since. It is also quite possibly the best value for money watch in my collection at the moment. The DM42 boasts a brushed 316L stainless steel case, a screw-down case back, and a signed screw-down crown, all of which helps provide it with 200 meters of water resistance. It features a 120 click unidirectional rotating bezel with a ceramic insert, all of which hugs an AR coated sapphire crystal. Helping with visibility is a prominent handset, which includes an arrow tipped minute and seconds hand, and a Sword SKX-ish type style, whatever, syringe tipped hour hand. The dial features rectangle markers at the 12, the 6, and the 9, and a frame date window at 3. All markers are applied. The watch features a printed chapter ring with tiny, almost imperceptible Arabics marking hours 13 through 24? More on that in the pros and cons section. The Aragon logo, as well as the model line, Dive Master, are printed beneath the 12, and a mini paragraph with the words automatic, professional, water resistance 200 meters / 660 feet is printed above the 6 o'clock, at either side of which are the words Japan and movement. This latter print is a reference to the workhorse behind the dial, the NH36, you can see it there through the case back, which is a day-date variant of the NH35. The 42 in DM42 is a reference to the case size, which I measure at almost exactly 42 millimeters. So here it's coming up at 41.8. The more crucial number for how this will wear on the wrist is the lug to lug, which I measure at 48.9 millimeters. And it's 14 millimeters thick, 14.1 millimeters thick, and it has a 20 millimeter lug width. Filling that lug width is a silicone strap with no taper, which is tipped by a signed stainless steel buckle. And let's just go ahead and take a look at it on wrist. And doesn't that look nice? It's a super wearable dimensions for my wrist, which is 7 inches for your reference. Now, what do I like most about this watch? Well, the features all pretty much speak for themselves, don't they? This thing is a spec monster. The strap is so comfortable. It's really soft, supple, and I haven't even been tempted to switch it out, honestly. The crown threading is super smooth, with just the right amount of pop when it becomes fully unthreaded, and boop, there it goes. It's really kind of hard to illustrate on video, right? But you can feel it when it pops out. The bezel action is really satisfying with great tolerance and zero back play. The markers are really tall. It really gives the dial a lot of depth. And
sweet tornadoes of Barbados. I
haven't talked about the Loom. That's because I'm saving my favorite feature for last. This watch features C3 Superluminova on the hands and markers, and I am not quite sure what the Loom on the dial and bezel is called. Maybe gorgeous? No, seriously, if you happen to know what this is called, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to learn. And one last surprise, the same purple Loom on the dial and bezel is on the crown. I love it. Now, what do I wish were different? I have nothing really against flat crystals, but given the choice, I prefer the dial distortion you get from a good domed crystal. Some variety in the case finishing would have been nice. The full brush is rather Spartan. The last thing I would change is, let's just call it dial uniformity, if you will. If you look at the markers, all of them have this metallic blue finish, which is really unique, and I love it. But why didn't that carry over into the date window frame? And those tri-colored hands, it's kind of an Aragon signature, featuring on many of their models. But red, blue, and orange? It's kind of all over the place. It's not a deal breaker for me, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. Finally, as I alluded to earlier in the video, I can't for the life of me figure out why they printed those teeny tiny Arabics in the first place. They're nigh illegible. And what's with the choice to number them 13 through 24? This isn't a field watch. This isn't a GMT. What's with that? It's quite a bizarre choice, really. What's next?
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Cool it, Dr. Venkman. I don't think it's that bad just yet. QC issues. I only really found one, but boy oh boy, it's a doozy. Let me throw up a close-up here. Now, look at that chapter ring. Notice anything on the 12? That curiously useless 24-hour print there is way off-center in relation to the marker. None of the others are off-center, so I'm inclined to believe that the marker is crooked. Ouch. Now, crooked marker notwithstanding, at $169, this watch is superb value for money. Which brings me back to my original question. Is Aragon a better Invicta? Well, first of all, what are the parallels? Well, for starters, size. At 42 millimeters, this is what Aragon considers to be a small watch. As I mentioned earlier, I have a Joe Average 7-inch wrist, and this thing sits just fine on my wrist. For comparison, here's the smallest watch in my collection. A 35mm dress watch from Seiko that my father passed down to me. Now this is small. And as a dress watch, it's supposed to be, of course. But most of Aragon's selection is between 45 and 50 millimeters. Next is design language. Both Aragon and Invicta have unique design language, which is very much their own. This is one of the latest from Aragon, the millipede. They made the dial a rotor, just because they could. Okay. And finally, and I think more controversially, both Aragon and Invicta have a pricing strategy that is less than straightforward. Listen, nobody pays MSRP for watches. All companies have a price they suggest, and retailers almost always sell them at a more reasonable price, which may go up or down. These two companies, however, they set up an MSRP that is ridiculously inflated, and then there's always a mega sale going on. Act now! It's the Black Friday sale, and the Christmas sale, and the Valentine's Day sale, and so on and so forth. If it's always on sale, then it never is. I don't mind getting a watch for a great price, obviously, but why the rigmarole? So, yeah, a couple of similarities there. What's the key difference, though? Quality and value for money. Aragon just flat out deliver a better product. Even with the small QC issue I found, Aragon just don't cut corners the way Invicta does. The Invicta Pro Diver, another NH Power 200 meter diver, retails for anywhere between $80 and $100. And with the mushy bezel, the mineral crystal, and the poor loom, you can tell where Invicta is saving money. These are all areas where Aragon excels. The Pro Diver is a favorite among the modding community as a base for projects, but if you wanted to upgrade it to bring it up to par with the DM42, the Loom dial, sapphire crystal, ceramic bezel insert, and better bezel action, you would likely end up spending more between the watch and the mod parts than you would if you just bought this Aragon. So, is Aragon a better Invicta? Nope. Aragon is its own thing.
I'm David Pumpkins, man!
Okay, yeah, and David Pumpkins is...
His own thing!
Much like David as Pumpkins, yeah. They may cater to more or less the same tastes, but the quality difference is worlds apart. Now that'll be it for today's episode. Don't forget, I'm still running a 100 subscriber giveaway. Link in the iCard and in the description below. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. What did you think of the video? Do you agree with the points I made? Am I way off base? Is Joe Biden a lizard person? Let me know in the comments down below. Stay safe, mask up, and remember, be kind to each other, because life can change in a split second.